Hello everyone, my name is Ira and today I'm gonna tell you about AWS Lambda, or Lambda for short. It's a serverless computing service provided by AWS. To understand what AWS Lambda is, we have to first understand what serverless architecture is all about. Serverless applications in general are applications that don't require any provision of service for them to run. When you run a serverless application, you get the benefit of not worrying about OS setup, patching, or scaling of servers that you would have to consider when you run your application on a physical server. Serverless application or platforms have four characteristics: no server management, flexible scaling, no idle capacity, and the last one is high availability. AWS Lambda is used only for the compute layer of the serverless application. The purpose of AWS Lambda is to build event-driven applications that can be triggered by several events in AWS. In case where you have multiple events, Lambda simply spins up multiple copies of the function to handle the events. In other words, Lambda can be described as a type of function as a service. Supported language are Node.js, Python, Ruby, Java, and etc. Three components comprise AWS Lambda. The first is a function. This is an actual code that performs the task. A configuration, this specifies how your function is executed. And the last one is event source. It's optional. This is the events that triggers the function. You can trigger with several AWS service or third-party service. So let's go to practice. It was a very basic function that generates some random number between two given numbers. So let's get going.
Okay, so here I am in AWS console log and we're gonna to compute section and we're gonna click by lambda to create the first function. So we're gonna click create function. And now we're gonna choose the option of creating our function. You can start from simple hello world function or use a blueprint where you can build up from sample code and configuration present. Also you can work with your serverless repo. I'm gonna pick blueprint and choose some basic code for our example. Just a simple hello world with Node.js. We choose this card and click configure. We choose new role for this function and we're gonna give its name, generation lambda role, and we're gonna give her some basic permissions. It's enough permission for this code. We scroll down and see section with lambda function code. You can see a runtime with Node.js 12. It's the latest version supported by Lambda. There is a default snippet of code. So return these lines with lambda function structure explanation. The runtime passes three arguments to the handler methods. The first argument is the event object, which contains information from invoker. The invoker passes this information as a JSON formatted string when it's called invoke, and the runtime converts it to an object. When an AWS service invokes your function, the event structure varies by service. The second argument is the context object, which contains information about some invocation, function, and execution environment. In the preceding example, the function gets the number of the log stream from the context object and returns it to the invoker. The third argument, callbacks, is a function that you can call in non-async handlers to send a response. The callback function takes two arguments, an error and a response. When you call it, Lambda waits for the event loop to be empty and then returns the response or error to the invoker. The response object must be compatible with JSON stringify. For sync handlers, you return a response error or promise to the runtime instead of using callback. it's disabled to change code right now, but after creating function we can update our code. So I click on create function. Now we are seeing the note about successfully creating our function and some hint about invoking your function with a test event. So I'm not going to set triggers right now. We're just gonna write the code and set up the function. So here I'm gonna skip it. Click code entry type. There is 3 ways we can run code with lambda. The first way is to edit your code in your online editor. So this is fun for small snippet of code. You can also upload a zip file, and you can upload your file from Amazon. So because it's a very small function, I'm just gonna take this code with online editor. So runtime is Node.js, we choose it in previous step. Okay, this handlers, it's the file name, index.js, and handler is the variable that you attach to exports. So we're gonna just delete all this code that Amazon gave us. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is define a minimal number as 0 and the max number 10 and generated numbers. So I define a new variable called generated number, and we're gonna use mass floor for rounding, mass random for generate number between 0 and 1. So we multiple number from mass random function by subtraction between max and min number and add min number. Now we're going to return generated number. Next thing that you can see is advanced setting. Each function is run inside in container. That container has the memory allocated. It's a very basic function, so we'll leave the default values 128. So watch out this each timeout. If your function doesn't finish within this time period, Amazon will just kill it and return error message. So you're gonna pick it this parameter very carefully. So we just gonna click save, and all we have a congratulation about successful update of our function. There's this code actually. Click test and create our first test with name generation number. We didn't pass any params, so I sent empty JSON. Then click create. You can see the default test name is name of our creating test. So we can see returned random number. Also you can see log output, and we can see summary, and we can see length of our function duration, how much we were built, how much memory we allocated, and how many memory were actually used for this function. So we can click test another time and we get other random number. So return to presentation.
Yeah, and the last thing is pricing of lambda function. Monthly you have 1 million requests and 3 million seconds to compute time for free. It's cool for us. So, thanks for attention, goodbye.